audience over there, and she said, you know, I watch your show every morning. It's glad to be here. And I said, oh, except you're not in your robe right now. She goes, oh, I don't wear a robe. Well, in this month of love, we're talking about relationships with sex therapist Emily Diala and relationship expert Dr. Diavon Young. We have some audience questions, and some of you are calling in, so we'll get to those phone calls in a second here. Let's start with Leslie. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Deborah. Good morning. I have a quick question. I've been dating for over 8 years, and this guy...
Did you start when you were 2?
No. And obviously it started very young, and he doesn't seem to mature as fast as I am, so I'm just wondering, what is a way that we can grow together?
How old are you?
21.
8 years. So you've been dating someone basically since you were a child.
Correct.
I'm going to suggest this. Every culture is different. Often we can attach ourselves to things prematurely. Why don't you try living a little bit more life? I'm not saying break up with the guy, and I'm not saying stay. But what I am saying is there's so much more for you to see and do, and him too. So before you go and lock yourself into something, make sure that you're locking yourself into the right thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but sometimes it becomes like a comfort and a familiarity, but might not be the person you need to be with for life. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We have Gladys. Hi, Gladys.
Hi.
What's your question?
Dating and you're over 50, how long should you wait before you have sex with your partner to be more respected?
Okay, and that's a question, yeah, and it's a question for all ages, really.
Yeah. Honestly, there's no magic number for that about how long you should wait. You should wait until you both feel comfortable and it feels natural for both of you. It's never something that you want to be pressured into, or it's never something you want to do in hopes that it'll make the other person stick around necessarily. It should happen naturally for both of you, so there really is no magic number. I mean, I usually discourage people from going home with someone on the first date just because, you know, there is a little bit of that, okay, well, if she's doing that with me, she may be doing that with a lot of other people, and that can be kind of unattractive.
And you don't want to be part of that game. Sometimes we guys play that game, right? And then once they gotcha, it's like, okay, I'm done, I'm good,
exactly.
And which she said to be respected.
Right.
You know? So, all right, let's go to an email that we have, and this email says, how can I get my husband to let go of his mommy? We would rather make her happy than he would rather make her happy than his own wife. I'm just going to tell you right now, I have a son, and he's 9, but that future daughter-in-law is going to have some problems. No, but anyway, that sometimes the loyalty. In fact, when you're first born as a boy, your loyalty is to your mother first.
Well, it goes beyond that. Mother is the perfect relationship in many instances, not always, for a man. So what he wants is that reaffirmation, that pat on the back, and this goes into that love language thing.
Right.
Learn to speak his love language, and he won't need mommy to validate him as much as you potentially can.
Yeah, and then sometimes, and again, a bigger conversation that we have time for here, sometimes with that very controlling mother, you feel like you're cheating on mommy, because it is that very first female-male relationship, and as we know, boys get their sense of self-esteem from their mothers, right, and girls from their fathers, and so it's like you're afraid to deny mommy, which is the reason why sometimes some men wait so long to get married or never get married, because they're never going to find somebody who measures up to mommy.
And what also can happen too is guys may feel a strong sense of loyalty towards their mother. Maybe dad left, maybe they became kind of the little man in the house, and so there's a sense of responsibility for mom. And so as a child, the energy, when it should have been going from parent to child, was going from child to parent. And so that comes back to what I was saying about that feeling of engulfment that can happen, and that can really you know, impede intimacy.
And then again, some of that could be her perception, because sometimes we start competing against our mother-in-laws, right? So I think it sounds like we need a session with either one of these two. All right. Heather is on the phone. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
What's your question?
My question is why is it for women that sex means more to them? You know, they see that as love, and men it's just sex is sex.
That's not true. That is so not true.
That's the perception.
Yeah, that is very stereotypical, and I'm glad you said that and not me, so Deborah won't be getting letters. But the truth of it is that everyone is different. And depending on the amount of activity that you've had in your life, how much you've engaged with the opposite sex, how many partners you've had, that will have a great deal with creating your foundation for your views of sex, your views of intimacy. But the one thing I caution all of us to remember is that sex within itself is just an external validation of an internal need.
Yeah.
So be careful in associating your intimate life with your cognitive and psychological beliefs.
And then there's just kind of how we raise our boys and girls. You know, girls we automatically think are the nurturers, and the guys are the conquerors, if you will. And so that shows up in the bedroom, too. All right, we have Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, thank you, Deborah. I have a friend that has been dating her boyfriend for a few years now, and they're raised in different cultures and have different beliefs. So how would they find a common ground?
That's a simple thing. First, understand each other's beliefs and take the time to get to know each other's cultures. The only way that you can understand anything is that you gather the knowledge and you take the time to really engage it so that you don't translate what is appropriate in your culture to someone else's.
Yeah, and ultimately, that couple needs to decide what's right for them. And I know that's very hard to cut those apron strings. I have several friends who, different religions, and the parents have made it very clear, if you get married, you're done, right? And it's amazing what happens the first time that first grandchild comes along, right?
Yeah.
But it just, having that grown-up conversation of, I respect and love you, but I love this person to share my life with. It doesn't mean that I don't love you as a parent, but I, you know, and yeah, people
are far more resilient than they usually think themselves out to be initially.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just need a little bit of time.
All right, and we have another phone call. This is from who? Martha. Hi, Martha. Good morning.
Hey, Deborah. Good morning. I had a question for married people. Many times in a marriage, once children are born, the men tend to keep the same pace, but a woman turning into a mom, you tend to be more in tune with your children and making sure they're okay, and then you tend to have sex out of obligation, knowing this is something you're supposed to do for your husband as a wife.
Yeah.
So then it's no longer fun for you. It's more like a chore. So how do you turn the mom off and enjoy yourself?
You know, that happens a lot, and I'll tell you that we've had doctors on our show over and over again that talk about oftentimes after you have a child, your libido is impacted because your hormones are impacted.
Yes.
So you just don't have that desire there, and you're right. You sit in there thinking, what happened? Because when we got married, it was like, let's make a baby, right? And then, so those are things to explore for sure.
Yeah, you always want to get your hormone, especially if you're currently breastfeeding. Because of what's happening hormonally, sexual desire is going to go down. I usually encourage new moms to spend some time kind of transitioning themselves psychologically from that mom role to the lover role. Maybe that's spending a little extra time for themselves, taking a long bath, asking their partner to give them a massage.
Getting a babysitter.
Getting a hotel room for the night, you know. But it's important to try to psychologically transition yourself from mommy to lover, because you can have both at the same time. Right. You also got to make sure he's stepping up and doing his role to help caretake those children, because if the burden does fall on you completely, you're going to feel drained at the end of the day.
And the tough part is they grow up and they move out and you're standing there staring at each other going, who are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's all been about the kids. All right, we'll have links for Dr. Diavon Young and Emily Diala on our website, greatdayhouston.com. Thank you very much for a great conversation. Okay, and ladies, don't forget to log on to Facebook for our question of the day. What's the one thing you're attracted to in a man? Apparently, when men were asked, they said they want a woman with nice teeth. Log on and let us know what you think. Emily, what is it? What's the one thing? Probably the most important thing that you're attracted to in a man.
Oh, I think confidence is important. Confidence, intellect, and not cockiness, but confidence.
Yeah. No arrogance. Yeah. And Dr. Diavon, what's the one thing? Oh, I'm sorry. No. In a woman is what?
And the woman, I would say the first thing is to be her external presentation, but the intellect has to match it.
Okay. Well, romance is definitely in the air, but it doesn't happen without a little designing magic and planning thrown in. We'll see what designer Richard Eastman has cooked up for designing a perfect V-Day next.